Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is David Novak. So I was tagged by Grix at Grix, etc. to do the alphabetical hot or not tag. This was created by Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. And the objective of the tag is to be fast and on topic. There can always be exceptions, and it depends explanations, but go for the gut reaction to the prompt in general terms. Pick either hot or not. So kind of a Rorschach test response, just rapid fire if you can do it. Now I will put a link in the description box to Greg's original tag video and also the one done by Grix. I will also make a couple of tags, and I will put that there in case I forget in the rush of getting through these prompts. So there is one for each letter of the alphabet, beginning with A, audiobooks. I am hot on audiobooks. It's not a general practice for me to read audiobooks, but there have been maybe a dozen times when reading an audio or listening to an audiobook has been indispensable for my making it through a book. B, Bildungsroman, dealing with a person's formative years or spiritual education. I've heard Bildungsroman referred to as coming-of-age stories. By and large, not. C, children's books. Every once in a while, I see a children's book that I really like. It's not a regular course of reading for me, but I see no bar to looking at them if I see them. In some video, I put this delightful counting book, Monster Bubbles, that I found, and it delights me to this day. So I'm all in favor of children's books. D, digital. I'm a relatively recent convert to ebooks, and my experiences with e-reading have been entirely positive. I have not given up print books, so perhaps I should not use the word convert. I have not converted away from hard copies. E, experimental. I'm all in favor of people's desire to experiment, but as a reader, I give it a big not. F for fantasy, also a not. I haven't read any fantasy that I know of or very much, and the genre has no appeal. I find my tastes expanding, so this is only a provisional not. Graphic novel, not. I have here and there read graphic novels that I've liked, but I find myself moving away from the form. I read Fun Home when it came out and liked it, and I think I would still like it today if I saw it. I also read its sequel, and the first book described the author's mother. I'm the author's father. The sequel described her mother, and the story of the father was more compelling. Of the mother, it was a little tepid for me. Persepolis I read when it came out and really liked it, and I revisited that one not too long ago and really thought it was kind of silly. So that's just time. So a not for graphic novels. Horror, H, not. I may try a Shirley Jackson. That's also, I suppose, provisional. I will let myself be open to expanding my literary tastes. I, inspirational, not. J, journalism. I am in favor of journalism, so I will say journalism is hot. K, kitsch, has a popular or sentimental appeal. Broadly speaking, not. L, library. In principle, I would call libraries hot. I'm in favor of libraries. In practice, I am not sure. I have seen one of the great libraries, the Chicago Public Library, fall on hard times since Mayor Richard M. Daley appointed Mary Dempsey to its head, and she sort of gutted the place. Its charter insisted that it be the equivalent of a good research library, and it is nothing of the sort anymore. There is so much being published nowadays, I don't know that libraries can keep on top of it. Who is to decide what belongs in a library and what should be chucked? As a purchaser of used books, so many of them come from libraries. My current view on libraries is probably not. M, mystery. When I was young, I read something by Poe. I read Sherlock Holmes. I read Agatha Christie, and I read Dorothy Sayers. Not a lot, maybe 2 books by each, but I was interested in mysteries. And of course, don't forget the 3 Investigators with Alfred Hitchcock. Those were all mysteries. So I was pretty hot on those. The taste has waned for me, so not at this day and age, but we'll see. N, nonfiction, hot. I've always liked nonfiction. Probably it's been more important to me than fiction. It's only been in the last, say, 8 years that I've been trying to read more fiction. Fiction is becoming more important to me. Okay. O, omnibus. I believe an omnibus is a compilation of, say, 5 novels into one big book. I like that. I'm in favor of that, so I will give that a hot. P, poetry. Well, again, in principle, I would say hot. In actual practice, it's take it or leave it now for me. Anytime I come across a new poet, I recently found a book by Boris Pasternak. I will look at it, but it's not anything critical for me at this stage in my reading life. So hot in theory, not in practice. Q, quests, not. I think at one time, and there's an explanatory note here, when the protagonist goes on a quest, physical or spiritual. I believe at one time quest stories, the Jason and the Argonauts going after the Golden Fleece was of some interest, but for me at least, ever since Joseph Campbell took hold of the idea, I think it's become kind of boring. R, romance, most definitely a not. I've tried some and never had success with it. Science fiction, S, well, I would say not. It's not been a genre that's appealed to me. I can only think of 2 that I've read, one of them being The Lathe of Heaven, and one of them being the Russian novel We, W-E, not O-U-I. And I liked both of them, but not enough to make me take the plunge and become a real fan of the genre. T, translation, books translated from one language into another. Hot. I'm good with that. U, Übermensch, the Superman or the extraordinary human, characters who can everything. I will say not. V, Victorian literature from 1837 to 1901. Hot. It's not my favorite era, and I don't know how deeply I want to delve into the literature of the time period, despite there being a great Victober event on BookTube. But with a Victorian novel, you do get something meaty to digest, so I will say hot. W, Western. Well, I have not read a Western. I am trying to get to True Grit, and that may change my opinion somewhat. And there is that other one that everybody loves that's a very long book, but I can't remember the title right off. So for now, I will say, again, provisionally, not. X-rated. Well, for me, that's a split answer. So if it's X-rated in the sense of the Marquis de Sade, I would give it a not. That was boring and tedious, despite a booktuber recently putting out a very good video explaining why he supports the late efforts of the Marquis de Sade. I would definitely, based on that character, give X-rated a not. However, with the book that I read last year, The Plum in the Golden Vase, which was certainly not a pornographic tour de force, but did include sex scenes, I would give the X rating a hot. Overall, the one not and the one hot combined to a hot, because I am all for free speech, free expression, and for the possibility of something like The Plum in the Golden Vase coming into existence, despite the prudes out there that may not care for such literature. Why young adult? I will say not. It's a term that I have only recently come to realize I don't think exists. I think there are children, and then I think there are adults. I myself was going to try to pinpoint the exact moment when I became an adult. I told myself that when I was a child, and then I missed it. And then all of a sudden one day I said, well, I think I'm an adult now. At no point did I think, oh, I'm a young adult. And I have grudgingly accepted the idea of teenager. It's a term we have come to use, maybe just for linguistic reasons, but throughout most of the course of human history, there was no such thing as young adult or even teenager. So I think the old bipartite separation between child and adult works. And Z, zeitgeist, spirit or mood of the times. Why not? I'll give it a hot. So I will leave it there, and as my taggees, I will tag Katja Weinert, who has a lovely booktube channel, and I will tag Voyage of a Time Wanderer, both with the caveat that if you do not feel like doing this tag, please just ignore this. I have found it fun to do, and I would like to hear what you have to say, but there is no obligation with this. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.